I think they're three beautiful modalities that come together so well, and to be able to take that into a space to go, okay, here's the place where I'm giving myself permission in a consensual way to play with and experiment, and maybe even get things wrong, failing safely, create a space where I can make mistakes, I can stumble through, I can experiment, and just develop that sense of, yes, this is how I communicate my erotic being, and this is how you can meet me in it. And even if it's not yours, well, let's find a way that we can meet each other, or find a happy balance. And yeah, I see you nodding there. You've explored a lot deeper into this than I have. So
That's an exciting thing. There's a what I love about what we're compiling, what we're bringing together, is that there's a quote, a phrase I've heard often. It's desire is a horse that wants to take you on a journey to spirit. And the way I interpret that also is that this horse, when we're looking at desire, erotic energy, sexual energy, kundalini, this horse could quickly get out of control if we don't have the
mm,
skill sets to know how to ride the horse. Even if it's on the journey to spirit, it doesn't have to be a chaotic, turbulent journey to spirit. We can learn to ride that horse and to really harvest that energy, or harness rather, that energy in a profound way. And I see the Wheel of Consent, the Erotic Blueprints, and Bliss Dance as three brilliant modalities that provide skills to help us learn how to ride the horse of our eroticism, of our desires, not just our erotic desires, but desires as such. And we can land in our bodies in a way where our bodies, our beings, and the horse become one experience. So I'm excited to see what can happen on the dance floor. The dance floor is sort of like the pasture, the field that we get to gallop around or trot around or graze around, or however we'll end up approaching it, each one of us individually in our exploration. That the consent
mm.
kind of defines the field. This is how what happens in this pasture. Here's how we honor each other in our journey and our process. And then the erotic blueprints kind of indicate, well, what kind of horse are you? What kind of horse am I? What kind of horse are they? And we get to frolic together and learn from each other new and different ways to expand our awareness of expressing desire, expressing joy, expressing movement, moving the body. And then Bliss Dance creates these beautifully curated opportunities to bring these skills together and practice this intimacy, this embodied desire and embodied intimacy.
Yeah, yeah, and very much that embodied aspect. One of the things that I really love about bliss dance is that it's inherently a no talking space. That there's this opportunity to just go, we're not going to be talking about this and working it out intellectually and working with the ideas of the stuff. How does this actually move, literally move? And to learn that language of being able to move and tap more deeply into the senses of sensing where the other person's at, and being able to meet that and communicating that through our movement and through our natural expression, that we're not so caught up in the words, because the words can be so easily misunderstood. And I think there's a vastness to the way in which we can interact and really expand that when we drop the language of words, and find another language of expression. And I love your analogy of the horse as well. I came across a similar analogy at some point around the concept of reins, where one rein is self-identity, self-expression, and the other rein is our need for connection and belonging and being seen by others. And to constantly be able to play those as part of that journey of that erotic play in the fields, as you said, that we're not leaning too much into one that it becomes a problem, or into the other, but we, again, on a connection with self level, able to notice the subtleties of those needs between self and connection with other, and to be able to play with them and constantly be in that level of control
Mhm.
comes through self-awareness.
And none of us have really had enough opportunity to practice and master the skill set of the reins, of the holding the awarenesses of our desires and our needs for safety and the needs of others and their desires all at the same time. And I absolutely love
Yeah,
the dance floor as the kind of laboratory, this larger field for that, because it's a lower stakes environment to practice these skills and to do it together in a group, to do it with some foundational conceptual didactic pieces offered, which we'll be doing at the start of the workshop, and then building on that each segment of each day, adding in more framework, more concept, more language, and practicing that, and then letting it go, kind of in the crescendo of the retreat through bliss dance and through dancing the erotic blueprints is where we get to really embody, practice the embodiment and the lived experience of these modalities.
yeah, and the erotic blueprints brings in this aspect of we aren't all the same. We're different. We have a different erotic blueprint, and it's not about being the same. Um, that we can go, okay, let's see how do we come together on our differences, and if we have that language to speak it and to explore it, then we're going to get our needs met. I would hope a lot easier, a lot less frustrating, um, because we can celebrate those differences and we can come together despite the differences and find what is the commonality that does exist. And who knows, maybe even find something new and explore beyond what it is that we know or what our default patterns of behavior are and discover a new aspect of how it is that we can connect or express ourselves, be in intimacy and deepen connection with others.
Exactly. That's why we need relationship of whatever type. We need each other to learn from. And for example, your dance style, your erotic blueprint, your what your preferences and touch are going to be likely very different than mine. And that's neither better nor worse. We get to learn from each other. And perhaps you're going to show me things or demonstrate things, role model things I've never even considered. And then that begins to influence how I move, how I dance. I begin expanding and broadening because of my relating with you, my interacting with you. And you're one person, one dancer. So imagine a whole room of persons, of
Yeah,
dancers, of blueprints, of modalities. We're coming together and sharing our knowledge, even silently without actual verbal communication.
yeah,
But at the beginning, there will be plenty of verbal communication to get to practice the consent pieces amongst others. A lot of times, we humans can confuse intimacy and eroticism and desire as things that are serious and adult and separate from our childlike nature, and that to combine the two is irreverent or wrong or not workable somehow. And so, what I love about this workshop we're creating is that Eros gets to be present, desire gets to be present, intimacy gets to be present in these held ways with consent and mindfulness and presence. And that makes it safe for this joy and this play and this inner childlikeness, our inner children to come through and participate in the Kundalini, in the Eros, in the desire, but not in a sexualized way. Because what we're creating is in a play party. It's not a sexy party. It's not about seducing each other with an end goal in mind. What this is about is allowing Eros to be a vertical energy that runs through us. We're not sending it out to towards objects of desire, people we want to connect with or sleep with,
mm-hmm.
or things like that. We're staying more inside of ourselves and bringing a sexualness, which is different from a sexuality or an erotic desiring. But a sexualness is more of an essence. It's a way of being.
Yeah, feels like
It's
vibrancy and aliveness.
mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah,
And our own unique signature, our own unique fingerprint, if you will, or blueprint of that aliveness and that vitality, because each of us is going to express it uniquely, and we get to witness each other expressing it and being impacted and learning from each other's expression.
Yeah,
Is
and then take that out into the world. If it's not about a sexual relationship end game goal, then that essence can be expressed just as who we are out in the world and just make everything alive and abundant and glorious in its fullness and richness.